The Askar 103mm with its triplet apochromatic design has proven to be a capable scope. But what if you could shoot twice as fast and wider? Guess what showed up today? Oh yeah, the Askar 0.8x times Reducer Flattener for the Askar 103mm refractor. Now, before we get into it, if you haven't checked out my video on the Askar 103 1x field flattener and also my unboxing video, I'll be putting links for those down in the description and also into a playlist so you guys can check that out. Because by the end of this series, I think I'm going to have about 4 videos. The next accessory we're going to test is going to be the 0.6 times Reducer Flattener. But today is all about the 0.8 times Reducer. Now, the 0.8 times Reducer is going to reduce your focal length from 700 millimeters to 560 millimeters. Now, it'll also reduce your focal ratio from f6.8 to f5.4, which you pick up a photographic speed boost of 1.8 times. It's nearly twice as fast to shoot with the 0.8x Reducer than it is shooting with the 1x field flattener at f6.8. The benefit here is it's going to widen your field of view and also reduce your imaging times because it will be collecting more light and signal in a shorter amount of time. All right, guys, let's unbox this. Now, don't be disappointed, but I pre-knifed this box. I know how much you guys like seeing my knife, all right? But no knifing today. All right, we'll set it down here. Oh. And it comes with some instruction manual. And it looks like, yep, back focus on this is still a standard 55 millimeters. I don't know if you can see that. There it is, which is pretty handy. All right, I'm just going to stop because it's not working for me. This is a beautiful piece, very solid construction. Both end caps are aluminum. And here's what that looks like. Very cool. Also, on a side note, these boxes here are durable enough to carry around. I actually find myself carrying the box with the reducers and flatteners with me because I know that's the safest place for them. Because, I mean, look at this foam in here. It is super generous and high density in there. And, I mean, I could get like one of those lens cases, but this fits perfectly. So, but I guess we'll see how it holds up over the years, right? Before we select our target for the night, there's a few things I found out about the Askar 103 since my first night of shooting. So let me go grab it and I'll show you what I found out. All right, on the 103, I did mention that the focuser will move a little bit once you tighten down the lock screw for it. My suggestion would be for you guys to get it close to focus first and then tighten it down. Now, when you're tightening it down, it doesn't need to be tightened down. It just needs to have contact with the internals of the focuser itself to stop it. And then you'll be using this to tune your focus and get it dialed in to your liking. Also, this rotator right here that is indexed is super handy. Now, in this day and age, we have plate solving framing, but it is still really handy to note the degree of which you took the object in the first place so you can get it close, and also plate solve frame the rest of the way. This saves a lot of time in setup at the beginning of the night. So this rotator, I'm going to get a lot of use out of that, especially with the markings here. All right, let's select our target. All right, guys, I have a target selected, or should I say targets. Here's what I'm proposing. In the beginning of the night, we should shoot a dim target, just because we have a faster photographic speed. So I'm thinking about the Spider and Fly Nebula in Auriga, and it's got a surface brightness of about 13, which is really, really dim. So we're going to see how much data I can get in an hour and a half, because by the time I'm done with that, the Rosette Nebula will be up. And the Rosette Nebula here, it's one of my favorite targets actually. And it's right near Orion. And with my field of view, with my Reducer Flattener, it's going to be framed up nice and tight. A lot of details I'm going to be able to get. And I think I'm going to be shooting in 47 megapixel mode on my 294 mm. Just because I kind of want to crop in on some of those details this year. I'm going to be slightly oversampled though. It's going to be 0.88 arc seconds per pixel, but it's still going to be in a good enough range. The Rosette Nebula has a magnitude of 9, so it's actually a little bit brighter than the Spider and Fly, but I don't think we're going to have any problems getting signal on it. The only challenge is the moon is nearly full. I think it's within the 90% range, but we'll be shooting through narrowband for sure tonight. So let's get on out there. Check out this moon right now. Super bright. Why can't this happen on moonless nights, right? Anyways, let's go take a look at how that Flattener Reducer fits on the telescope. All right, it's time to put our brand new focal reducer on. See how this goes. Put that there. Okay. Should just screw on like this, hopefully. All right. And that's what it looks like. All right, we are all set up and I'm shooting frames on the Spider and Fly Nebula. We're going to be shooting this for about an hour and a half in SHO and then later switching to the Rosette Nebula. I'm super excited about that. I haven't taken a photo of it this year. I love taking a photo of it. I mean, I think I take one every year and I never get tired of it. With the field of view on this scope, it should fill the frame. So I think we're going to be getting a lot of detail on it, and I can't wait to see it. Hear the coyotes? There's like one or two out there. Sounds pretty close. I don't know, you know, this field that I'm in right now, every time I look across the field, check this out. I always imagine, like, in the mist out here, zombies are just, like, gonna walk across the field, you know what I mean? It's like a scene from The Walking Dead, you know what I'm saying? Always creeps me out. All right, guys, it is rosette time. Orion has cleared the house. Not that you can tell or anything because everything's washed out because of the moon. But I think I framed it up pretty cool. And hopefully I'm just going to get as much data as possible tonight. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but we got some visitors. Got the coyotes out there just howling, you know what I mean? Creepy, really creepy. It is just past 1 o'clock and I'm gonna call it quits tonight. I'm gonna go home and go to bed because it is super cold, super tonight. It's like 23 degrees. But I got 40 minutes in each filter SHO on the Rosette Nebula. So I can't wait to see how that 0.8 times reducer did. But that's it for tonight. So I guess this is good night. And we're back. But before we get into the data, there's a few things I'd like to share with you that I've discovered about this refractor. But actually, check that out. I've never had to use my background lighting during the day, but it's really shadowy back there, so I had to turn it on. I guess winter is just around the corner. Anyways, a few things that I discovered. One thing about this refractor is it's pretty heavy. It is 12 pounds by itself, right? But once you outfit it with your camera, your guide scope, filter wheel, what have you, this 12-pound refractor turns into 16, 18 pounds very quickly. Now, I wouldn't be putting this scope on your equatorial mount without a safety bolt because it might just slide off because of the temperature change. What happens is you bring your equatorial mount from your house, which is warm, to the outside and it's like sub 30 degrees. Sometimes the clamp loosens and your refractor will just slide right off of your mount onto the ground and break into a million pieces. So one thing you want to do, and it was nice that this dovetail here included that, is see this little hole here? I believe it's an M3. And here's the bolt that I'm using. Maybe. All right, this is an M3 bolt. And all you're going to do is just thread it in there like this. And once it's threaded in there, if your clamp ever fails, it's just going to slide up until this point, saving your refractor. You know, this may never happen to you, but the moment it does, you will thank me. Trust me. And you heard it here. I told you, this little bolt, you know, like 10 cents could make the difference between having a good night and having a really bad night. All right. Also, I made a little bit of headway on my Bahtinov mask. So, as you guys know, I'm opting out of using an electronic focuser with this scope because I need to use the case that it came in. I just don't want to be toting it around in a bag or an aftermarket bag because a lot of the ones that I've seen just don't have the padding that the original case did. And since this shipped out in the case, and it's probably been banged around inside of the case, I know the case is super protective, and because of how large this refractor is, I just don't want to worry about it as I'm transporting it. So I made this Bahtinov mask, and this is the final, I think. And for all you 3D printer masters, I used a diameter of 4.6 inches by a 1/4 inch thickness, and I wanted it to be super high quality, so I printed this at 90% infill. Probably a little overkill on this, but it turned out really nice. And here's how it fits. Just fits right into the dew shield just like that, and it's perfectly center. And I just take it out when I'm done. It's pretty cool. In review, we were going to split up the night. So we were going to shoot the Spider and Fly Nebula for 1.5 hours in SHO, and also get as much data as possible on the Rosette Nebula at the second half of the night. Now, I wasn't expecting to get a lot out of the Spider and Fly because it is a 12 in magnitude as far as surface brightness, so it's rather dim. But I think it's valuable to show at the extreme part of the spectrum what you could expect from a 4-inch refractor shooting at f5.4 versus just me shooting bright targets, right? So let's take a look at our data, and here is my oxygen 3 on the Spider and Fly Nebula. Looks terrible. It's definitely low signal. Here is my S2. Looking a lot better. I got some data here on the Spider and also on the Fly. That looks interesting. And then HA, which is my strongest signal. And of course it looks great. Now I think I have a really great start on this nebula, so I'm just going to keep getting data on it, and someday it's just going to be a really cool picture. But besides that, check this out. Now, if we zoom in on this really bright star, we're getting a little bit of diffraction here, right? And this is common with a lot of refractors because of the lens cell design. Sometimes there's screws that, there are screws that hold the lenses in place, and sometimes they protrude a little bit, and you'll get diffraction spikes like this. Totally normal. But more importantly is around the bright stars, we see this nice star glow that I'm noticing here. The star glow is, to me, looks really good because you go from the center of the star, which is bright, and then it gradually fades off. And the way this scope handles that graduation looks really good to me. And also, in all my videos, I've yet to run any star reduction at all. I just wanted to, whoa. Okay, there's my photo. I just wanted to call that out, that I'm not running any star reduction on any of these photos that I'm going to show you. I just didn't need to run any star reduction at all. The triplet design on this, I think, contributes to this. It just keeps the stars nice and tight. And I love that about this scope. But let's get into the Rosette Nebula. So here is my HA, and as you can see, I did get a lot of data on the Rosette. The Rosette has a magnitude of 9, so it's quite a bit brighter than the Spider and Fly. And it's also a huge nebula. It's actually bigger than the moon, right, in the sky. But look at all this detail we resolved in the HA, right? And the thing I find most interesting, because this scope keeps the stars nice and tight, is what it resolves on some of the smaller stars in the sky. This actually came out really good. So let me zoom in on the center of the Rosette, and you'll see this star cluster here, right? So you'll see this big star, and then also 1, 2, 3, possibly 4. That's 5 right here. Maybe 6 around this really bright star. I mean, this scope keeps the stars tight enough where we're resolving some of that detail at, what am I at? 400% cropped in. That's cool, right? Totally cool. All right, let's zoom out of that. All right, let's check the star performance for you guys one more time. Like I said, this is 300% cropped in. I don't think anyone is going to be like looking at your photo 300% cropped in. But I don't see any weirdness here. No strange flaring. There's a brighter star. I see some diffraction spikes there. And then right-hand corner now. Looking really good. Yep. And then top right-hand corner. Looking really, really good. So the 0.8 times reducer flattener not only widens your field of view, speeds up your imaging time, but it also keeps the field nice and flat. And you can tell by the stars in the corner. This is actually really good. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, here is my final photo on the rosette. Here's what I got. I shot it in SHO. I ended up shooting it for 40 minutes in each filter. And here's what that looks like. Right? Look how beautiful this is. It just looks amazing, actually. And let's check out some of these details, shall we? Of what we're resolving. So check out these little floaty bits down here. So we got some floaty bits that we're resolving. It's noisy, yes, but remember, this is 40 minutes in each filter. I didn't get a lot of, exposure time on here. We got this little guy poking up here. Yeah, we got quite a bit of detail here on the edges of this little spire of dust or gas, whatever that is. Isn't that cool? And also this little guy up here. Wow. That is really, really cool. Well, guys, that is the data from the 0.8 times reducer flattener, and I promised that I would make a few crops of the rosette. Enjoy my photo of the Rosette Nebula. Well guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video on the 0.8 times reducer flattener for the Askar 103, and I hope it was helpful to you in some way. Now remember, we also have a third accessory to test, and that is the 0.6 times reducer flattener for the Askar 103. Now that's going to bring your focal ratio down from f6.8 natively all the way down to f4. So that's gonna be interesting. Well guys, I guess that's it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.